Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Game Junk Podcast, episode 145, recording on Sunday, April 9th, 2023. My name is Frank.
My name is Sean.
And my name is Andrew.
And we are recording on this Easter Sunday. Hope you had a good Easter. We're getting to the end of the day, and we will be reviewing the Super Mario Brothers movie, which we all saw this weekend. And we'll have many thoughts. There will also be some big role reversal discussions in what we played. I won't say anything else, but shit might go down. This is going to be huge. Did I say what we watched instead of what we played?
I think you said what we played. We're good.
Okay, just making sure. But before we even get to that, let's talk about what you should watch. And you should watch this podcast on youtube.com/gamejunk. I always talk about it at the end of the show, not at the beginning. Give it a like or a subscribe. Let's get those numbers up. Let's monetize Game Junk. Let's make it happen. The Mario.
Almost there. I mean, we've been sitting at 800 subscribers for a while now.
The Tears of the Kingdom reaction video is exploding. Dare I say it's getting tons of traction. So join the party already. What are you waiting for? Even if you hate it, just go do it. Who cares? All right. Enough with the promotional bullshit, Easter nonsense. Let's get to something that matters. Film, cinema, the Super Mario Brothers movie, which was released this weekend, created by Illumination. Is that right?
That's correct.
A team of artists directed by Aaron Horvath, Michael Jelenic, Pierre Leduc. It's a collaborative effort written by Matthew Fogel. Lots of voice talent: Chris Pratt, Anya Taylor-Joy, Charlie Day, Jack Black, Kevin Michael Richardson, Carrie Payton, Charles Martinez, Sebastian Maniscalco, Keegan-Michael Key, Fred Armisen, Seth Rogen. The list goes on and on. What did you guys think about the Super Mario Bros. Movie, Sean?
Well, you know me. I love the Bros. And there's two very diverging opinions on this movie out there. The critics hate it. The fans love it. And it's like, how do you decide which group you're gonna fall into? And I hate to say it, I'm kind of with the critics on this one, but saw it with the kids. The kids loved it, so I think as a kids movie, it works pretty well. It does kind of what you expect it to do. It erases memories of the '90s live action Super Mario Brothers movie. But you know what? It was okay. I didn't hate it. It was, it just kind of felt a little bit forgettable and I guess uninspired. I kind of thought, and maybe I'm crazy, I kind of thought they were going to go sort of like a Pixar route. We were going to see the Mushroom Kingdom, but they were going to have all these clever versions of things from our world in the Mushroom Kingdom, something like that. But they don't really do anything like that. I was surprised it was a standard sort of Mario and Luigi come from the real world and get sucked into the Mushroom Kingdom. I guess I shouldn't be surprised. It's kind of the story in a lot of the other fiction based on Mario Brothers. But yeah, the story is there's not much there. Visually, I thought it was pretty cool. Did make me want to see a next gen Mario game at some point. But just okay is what I'm saying right off the bat. Huck, what about you?
Well, to your next gen Mario, is Nintendo ever really going to have a next gen console?
Well, by the time they do, it'll be last gen.
Yes, exactly. But I am in the same boat. I thought the story was quite weak. My kids also loved it. But I did really appreciate the graphics and the facial expressions and the animations of the characters. It felt like an extremely polished CG movie from that regard, I liked a lot of the nods to the games. In particular, there was a lot of subtle sound effects and music that they used as nods to the game that I really appreciated. And not, I would say it was borderline heavy-handed, but I think it walked the tightrope for me well without kind of going too far down that rabbit hole. And yeah, I think if the story and what sort of happened to the characters was a little more interesting, I would have liked it more. But I think it still is a decent movie for adults. Could have used maybe some more sexual innuendo jokes to carry it through for the adult audience or something like that. Yeah. It needed something. It needed something more for the adults in the crowd.
Well, I would say I am an adult, and I went with another adult friend of mine, and he brought his kids. So I was a matinee. I got the kid experience and kind of got their reaction the same way you guys did from your actual children. And everyone seemed to really love it. It is I'm with that. Everyone, critics, I don't think they hate it. It's at like 56%. It is 100% middle of the road, as safe a movie as you could make about Mario, as straightforward as you could make it. Where I give it the pass, I would say, is I did laugh. I laughed 2 or 3 times out loud, like a hearty laugh. And then my buddy's kid was like, "You're embarrassing us." So I laughed even harder when that started. I was just laughing as loud as I could for as long as I could. At the most, just that one part, I just kept going until she was like snapping, "Stop it." The part I was laughing at, and it wasn't even that funny, but when Toad pulled up in the Mario Kart thing, there was just something about that. I was like,
yeah, that was hilarious.
It was a good moment.
I thought that was really funny. And the star from Mario Galaxy, that's like that bit worked for me. Aren't they called bits? The things you pick up in
yes, they are.
Galaxy. Anyway, those 2 things I thought were genuinely really funny. The rest looks good. I don't know if I love the style of the models, like the actual 3D models for the different characters. They're very similar to the Nintendo stuff, but minor tweaks. And I'm not that big on them, but the lighting I thought was excellent. That was all great. Voice acting wise, I'm kind of split. Not really crazy about either of the Mario Bros voices.
Same.
Really liked Anya Taylor-Joy as Peach. I thought she was a perfect Peach. And Jack Black, I would lean towards liking as Bowser. And Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong kind of grew on me. I wouldn't say I love it, but it was decent. I don't hate Chris Pratt and Charlie Day as the brothers Mario, but they really weren't like doing much for me. They weren't offensive, and they weren't like pulling me in to this masterpiece of cinema. They were keeping me at a distance, let's say.
I felt like they were trying to hide their voices more than they were trying to like play a character.
I agree. I completely agree. And I think they should have, I know this is like the lamest, most basic take you can have. They really should have just got someone who sounds like Mario to do the voice. But these animated movies have to have stars to go around and show their pretty faces everywhere all fucking day. Who cares? Jeez, just get some good voice actors. I don't care about these people. Save yourself some money.
Before I didn't know who the voice of Luigi was, but during the movie, I could have sworn it was Brian Callen. He was on Mad TV. He's like a comedian, goes on Joe Rogan all the time. I don't know if you look up Brian Callen, that's Bryan Callen. You would probably recognize his voice, and he sounded exactly like this Daniel Day guy. At least the character Daniel Day was trying to portray.
I wish it was Daniel Day. Just
Daniel Day-Lewis.
Daniel Day-Luigi would have been amazing.
Oh, Charlie Day.
Now that would have been a casting coup.
He could have had his "There Will Be Blood" mustache.
That would have been perfect,
Just invented
actually.
a meme, Daniel Day-Luigi.
I mean, now we're already starting to get more creative than this movie really was with this stuff. But
if we're gonna again focus on the brothers Mario, that is the weakest part of the movie to me. This actual plot of them being separated, and there's really no message there. Like, it's trying to get at these, like, oh, no one believes in me / brothers standing up for one another, and it basically disappears for an hour of the movie. They're separated. Yeah. You forget that that's what this.
And they're just constantly shitting on Luigi.
Yeah, these inciting events. Luigi disappears for almost all of the movie. And it's like, okay, plot wise, I'm guessing that's what critics are saying. Like, there's really no story or core thematic element. And as long as it's 90 minutes and semi-entertaining, so I find it watchable. If it was 2 hours and then the final message was about family and it was like leaning heavily into that stuff, I actually would have been more offended. But the plot and theme is not strong at all. The Mario and Nintendo homages, Easter eggs, all that stuff is good. My favorite sequence was Mario running through the city like a modern city, but they do it as a side scroller version and animating from like a 2D game. I thought that was pretty good. The training sequence was probably a highlight for me as well, which but while I'm talking about the 2D sequence, I actually preferred it in like Fantastic Mr. Fox did similar stuff, and I feel like it does it better. Like, it's more creative in those kind of side-scrolling set pieces, but it still wasn't bad. I had heard the Mario Kart sequence was like Fury Road, and so I actually thought it was going to be almost a parody of Fury Road, like with all the Koopalings and all this stuff. And I was expecting like movie references for the adults, maybe a little porno in there too, Huck, for the adults out there.
Hey, I didn't say anything about porno, bud. I said sexual innuendo. Very big difference.
I'm kidding. But
that's a good point, though. Like, the humor thing, right? Like, because a lot of people are comparing this to like something like the Lego Movie, and it's like anytime you try to adapt a property now that seems like really hard to adapt, it's like, well, look at the Lego Movie. They did it great. And we just talked about the Dungeons and Dragons movie on Film Junk last week. And it's like, okay, the approach now is to go very postmodern and meta. And to be fair, they didn't really do that. There's a little bit of stuff like that. Like, there's the commercial with the rap that's kind of referencing the old live action TV show. But, there's not a lot of that stuff, and there's not a lot of pop culture references or anything, which I'm okay with, but it just feels like, okay, but then you got to fill this movie with something else, and it kind of plays it straight for the most part, and it's just, there's not that much there.
But the Mario Kart sequence, which is not anything like Fury Road, from an action perspective, like, it's kind of boring. I thought that was the opportunity to do something exciting, and it was a bit of a dud for me. All the stuff at the front of the movie, I kind of preferred to the end.
I mean, the gearing up for the Mario Kart was great.
Yes.
But then once it actually happened, I kind of found myself tuning out. Yeah, it's kind of weird. I don't know why.
It was just like, it was a lot happening. I don't think it was very focused on the geography and action of that set piece, and even camera wise, like, it wasn't interesting how they filmed it. And you got to think, you're even thinking of Speed Racer and other stuff. Like, you could put the camera anywhere, and that's what Fury Road did, right? So now it's an opportunity to do this kind of racing sequence and put the camera wherever you want. And it was so derivative.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, other action stuff, obviously they work the platformer elements into a few early action sequences, and stuff was okay. It felt a bit forced, like, I just like, I get you kind of need some of that in there, but I think I had the most fun with when they got back to the real world. Although I was kind of surprised, like I kind of thought, oh, they're going to save that for a sequel or something. But
Well, we know what the sequel is, right? I'm assuming there's a post-credit thing. I didn't stay.
I didn't stay, but I knew what it was.
I don't know. I was gonna bet. I was like, I would bet my life that the post-credit sequence. We'll find out if I'm gonna die or not right now. Features either, well, definitely Wario would be in the post-credit sequence.
I don't want to spoil anything before we get to the spoiler discussion, but I will say it's not Wario.
I'm dead.
You might be dead.
Yep.
We're doing a spoiler discussion. Did we discuss?
I don't know. I don't like. I mean,
I would guess it would be something around Peach's storyline, backstory, fleshing that out.
They I'll give you a hint. They kind of borrowed from the Sonic playbook with what they're doing with the sequel.
They showed like this was the old version of Mario before fans revolted, and we redid it.
No. No, just that the character that they introduced in a sequel in the game is a character that's apparently
Yoshi.
You got it, bud.
Oh, I was too far ahead because they went through Dinosaur Land in a montage in this movie. I now know Dinosaur Land from Mario World. Mario World is Dinosaur Land. Did we ever really think about that when I brought that up? The game Super Mario World takes place in Dinosaur Land. How stupid is that?
I must say that I really thought that Princess Peach, like you guys mentioned, and Toad were the strongest characters, though. And they almost like carried the movie. Like every time Toad came back, it's like a ray of sunshine shining across. And there was one scene that didn't have him in it, but that eel section I feel like was just there just as a nod to Mario 64. Super Mario 64? I don't know, whatever it's called. And I didn't even realize it until like at the very, very end of that sequence what they had gotten eaten by. And it was like so weird and just kind of like stapled on.
I blanked out or something. Like I missed the eel eating them as well.
Yeah, I'm kind of.
It kind of like was a fade to black moment.
I came back and I'm like, what happened? Did I miss something? How did we all miss this? Something's up.
Well, it was just like a fade to black moment, and it was like an extreme close up of its mouth. You couldn't even really tell what it was. You could have just been like a giant fish. It gave me like what was the first Star Wars movie? Phantom Menace. Like, you know how there's that, like they turn on the lights and then there's that big thing. I'm like, this is like exactly like that, except they actually get eaten. But
yeah, every movie copied that part of the Phantom Menace, and Mario's pretty
sure.
I did like the lighting inside the eel. If anything, I thought they actually threw away, or they didn't do enough with some of the ideas. Like some of the enemies that I could see like being entire sequences in a future Mario movie. Like there's so many cool enemies and like small, like squids and different things you encounter through all the Mario games. They would just like throw them in very casually here and there as like an Easter egg. And I was like, you could do a whole sequence with that creature or do something interesting. I thought they kind of underused a lot of the ideas. And I could definitely see a more inspired, creative version of this film. I'm not into like before the movie started, like the new Illumination movie from the people that brought you Minions, Despicable Me, Trolls, Sing. Like these movies all suck. How is this studio so popular? Like
don't diss Trolls, man. You got to watch it first.
They are like, it feels like at the same level as Pixar now in terms of notoriety for children. And like, these are not even, and Pixar has pretty much gone to poo poo and they're still not in the same league. What are we talking about here?
Well, Minions and Despicable Me are very successful, but critically, I don't know if all that many of Illumination's movies have been.
Even the best DreamWorks stuff isn't even Illumination, like How to Train Your Dragon and Like,
Yeah.
what are we doing here?
Yeah, they've got better stuff, I think. I agree. But I just want to touch again on the Jack Black as Bowser thing, which I think there is some fun stuff there. And I mean, if anyone kind of brought themselves to the character and kind of created a new version of a character, I felt like that was the one. Of course, we've seen some of this stuff from Jack Black before, and obviously having like the songs and stuff. I was like, okay, we've seen this before, but I still did enjoy it. So I, got to give him some props for at least bringing some personality to one of the characters there.
So I must say, once the musical number started, the veil was lifted because when he sang, it sounded like exactly like a Jack Black song.
Oh yeah,
So
for sure.
it was pretty obvious after that it was Jack Black doing that. But I thought the musical number was pretty fun.
Yeah, I like that as well. I guess I generally, I'm not sure how I feel about bringing in all the different Mario game references. So Luigi's Mansion, when Luigi gets separated, he's got the flashlight. There's a Mario Kart sequence that we alluded to, and something very similar to Smash Brothers. And every one of those, like, kind of feel more like not winks, but the simplest version of those things.
I thought for sure they were going to go all in on Luigi's Mansion because he gets separated and you see him kind of going towards a haunted mansion or something. And it just, it's like, just gets a very surface level reference.
For a movie that's about brothers and them like always being together, it's, again, Luigi gets the complete shaft. He's barely there. Nothing's happening. And then what that means,
maybe that's true to form, maybe.
I get, but that, like, even then, the Super Mario Brothers, it's just named after Mario. It's not, the thing is, like, that the emotional payoffs work way less when that happens as well, because it all comes back to this. I'm like, we didn't really care about Luigi for the last hour. Now we care about him.
Yeah. And even like they try to, even at, well, spoilers, but the family like shits all over them the whole movie. And then at the end, they're like, you guys are the greatest. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, this is so brutal. But
well, and there's also that sort of emotional moment kind of around there where Mario is kind of by himself. He's like collecting himself inside the diner or whatever. And he's like, like he comes out and he's like, let's go. And it's like, it's kind of supposed to be a joke, but it also feels like, oh my God, this is like a bad parody or something.
He didn't even deliver the line right from Mario Kart. Like, you should have watched Mario Kart a few more times before you get the line.
And I don't think it leaned into like not parody, but like power-ups of there's like the mushroom gag, but all the stuff you can get, like fire flowers, especially in the Mario Kart, the blue shell gag was okay. But I thought they should have leaned into how bad the blue shell is. I bet there's no way Nintendo would let them make fun of the blue shell.
Well, that's one of the things I was wondering too, like we're talking about how they didn't really go all meta with this. And I almost feel like maybe Nintendo wouldn't allow that. But then again, like the Mario and Luigi games and even some of the Paper Mario games, they do get pretty meta. Like I don't know why you couldn't. Like,
I just don't think they would meta in the sense that pull back a layer and either make fun of or, like point out what's bad about Mario games. They would never let that happen.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, I'm glad I was looking through images while we did this. I wouldn't say I had a techgasm during this film ever. The closest thing I had to a techgasm was the crystal pipes. Those looked fantastic. They should have used those way more. When he's looking at that, like the pipes from Super Mario 3D World, I was like, oh boy, that is a pretty pipe.
I actually had a bit of a techgasm when they were doing some of the Bowser extreme close-up walkthroughs, and you can like see like all the fine detail of his skin and stuff and how it's bouncing the light and reflecting. I thought it looked really incredible actually for, a big lizardy character. I thought it looked really good.
Yeah. Bowser looked good. The I kind of like the simplicity of Bowser trying to get Peach to marry him, not trying to go to some like convoluted plot idea. I actually don't mind the simplicity of the plot. It just isn't that entertaining getting from point A to point B. It's enough. It's more than enough for kids, I'm sure, but not much else. I honestly can't remember much else about it, but at least it flies. Like the movie flies by. It's not trying to like make anyone think about anything. It is just consumable mass media meant for children in every way.
Yeah, and the 90-minute runtime is beautiful.
Yeah, and it's like probably with the credits and stuff, it's by the time the credits roll, it's probably like 86 minutes, something like that.
Wouldn't be surprised.
And wouldn't please do this for every future Mario movie. Never break. If I have to ask for one thing as part of the Mario movie cred, future trilogy cred, they're all less than 90 minutes. You'd be doing the Lord's work.
Ultimate trilogy cred, less than 90 minutes.
Every movie is less than 90 minutes. Please.
So a couple things I wanted to go through just in terms of like references and stuff like that. We should talk, I guess, about Charles Martinet, who voices Mario, has two roles in the film. And I guess we didn't really say, like, with regards to Chris Pratt and his voice and everything, I thought they handled the Italian accent thing in a way that kind of worked. Like they kind of start off having it, but then it's just put on for the commercial. So I thought that kind of worked. But then, I think he's the guy in the arcade that's playing Jumpman or whatever that game was. And then he's also Mario's dad, which I guess kind of makes sense.
Was he? But he's not doing the Mario voice for Mario's dad, right? It's
right.
Voice act.
So that was kind of cool.
There wasn't more Donkey Kong references.
Yeah, well, okay, here's something I wanted to bring up. So
they had Donkey Kong in the arcade. Or right. There was an arcade of Donkey Kong.
I mean, more like I'm surprised the Smash Brothers sequence was a Smash Brothers thing, not a Donkey Kong thing.
Well, I mean, there's a whole section in the quote unquote jungle kingdom, and you've got, characters that are more tied to Donkey Kong than Mario.
I mean like the game Donkey Kong, like how you get up, like avoiding stuff and get. I'm guessing maybe Wreck-It Ralph took a bit of that like idea or what you could do with some of that stuff because it's
maybe
parody of King Kong or Donkey Kong. But I don't know. It was weird that it was Smash Brothers and everything felt kind of arbitrary about that fight.
Right. I mean, yeah. I mean, there's barrels and stuff, but yeah. But I was going to say,
Mitchell. How do we not get Billy Mitchell as a voice in this?
That's a good point. But so there is this arcade game that's called Jumpman, and it looks like Donkey Kong. So then I'm like, I mean, at this point, I wasn't thinking this, but thinking back on it, I'm like, okay, so Donkey Kong exists in this world, and there's also a video game kind of based on him. But then Mario is also playing in the real world. Or I guess, sorry, Donkey Kong doesn't exist in this world. It's only because he comes there later. So maybe that makes sense. But so Mario's in his bedroom playing an NES in the real world, and he's playing Kid Icarus.
Oh, I forgot about this. Don't even.
So I'm like, wait, okay. So does Super Mario Brothers, the game, exist in this world? I don't understand. And it gets to a place where it's like Ghostbusters 2, like playing the Ghostbusters theme song at birthday parties. It's like, what is this?
That makes sense. And
does it? I don't know.
Ghostbusters 2? Like that would be their marketing thing, or it would have been a song.
I guess it's like a reappropriation of what the audience knows. So it kind of works. Yeah. But yeah, so I didn't really understand that.
You can imagine after the Ghostbusters Save New York, that someone would write a song about them.
Yeah,
it is in the movie, and then that makes literally it's flawless.
I mean, I like it. Don't get me wrong, but But yeah, I just found it weird that they're like, okay, so he's playing an actual NES, but then it's like, so does Mario exist? And then, like I said, like Donkey Kong is in this arcade game, but like, is there a Donkey Kong game? It's not actually called Donkey Kong. It's called Jumpman, which is obviously a reference to what Mario was originally called in that game. I don't know. That was just kind of weird. And then just to touch on a couple other quick things. I mean, you already
Can I
mentioned.
ask you a question before you go through them all?
Yeah.
Did Miyamoto-san have a cameo or a voice or anything in there that I missed?
Not that I'm aware of.
What's the deal? How do you not have Miyamoto?
I'm sure he didn't want it. I'm sure he turned it down, whatever they would have offered. He's too humble for that.
Just
yeah.
think you can't like Miyamoto anymore.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's reverse Stan Lee. I don't even want to be in the movie. I love it. I bet he's in there somewhere. We just don't know.
Could be. I mean, I haven't read anything, but I mean, there's probably stuff in there that people are going to see when it comes to home video. So you already mentioned the street kind of being laid out like the original level in Super Mario Brothers. There's the Punch Out Pizzeria. You know, all the fighters are, or all the pictures are characters from that game. There's the Donkey Konga peripheral kind of gets a reference in the Donkey Kong fight. Touched on some of the weird power-ups. The micro mushroom, kind of surprised to see that one sneaking in there.
I almost
Mario.
missed it, but wasn't there a reference to like the 3DS that you can like blow into?
Oh,
There was a section where Mario first gets to the Mushroom Kingdom and he's kind of walking through the shops, and in the background, one of the toads is like, "Oh, that's really old" or something like that, and they're like, "Yeah, you have to blow into it" or something like that.
Oh no, but that was like a reference to like the old NES cartridges. People.
Oh, is that what it was? Okay,
yeah.
I thought it was maybe
I thought it was a reference to the magic whistle in Mario Brothers 3.
Yeah, it kind of slipped by. I didn't see what they're actually doing in that
failed
scene.
reference, whatever it was.
Yeah, it could have been a lot of things, I guess.
Something that blows.
A lot of blowing.
I thought it was a reference to the blowing mechanic in Donkey Kong Country Returns. The one thing we can actually dislike Miyamoto for. Well, let's look. We're all giving this movie 3 stars. I don't even have to ask. I will. We still will. We're all giving it 3. But
Correct.
before we do that, this movie is for children. So what did your children think of it?
Mine loved it. 5 out of 5, if not higher.
Yeah.
I thought it was great.
Also. I mean, the
children I was with gave it a 4 out of 5. One gave it a 3.5.
Oh, interesting.
Very critical, hypercritical. My kids are very sheltered and they don't see a lot of anything, so except YouTube crap. So this is mind blowing for them.
Nice.
Yeah, it was like a outing with some of their friends, so I think that enhanced it for them, especially. But they just felt like they played the games. They saw things on screen that they're like, that's from that game. Like, you know, Bowser's wedding outfit is from Mario Odyssey, you know, like things like that. And that was just more than enough for them.
I would say the biggest hits for my kids were the Mario Kart sequences, seeing Toad's, you know, big truck thing. Also, the cat suit fight. When the cat suit came in, that was a big hit. My older son loves cats, so that was a huge hit.
I was bring that up, yeah.
And at the end, the big sort of like star moment was also a huge hit when, you know, they just start kicking butt. That was a big hit. That
reminds me, I wanted to talk briefly about the score. And I know you kind of touched on it at the beginning, Huck. Like, it's weird because it feels for a large part of the movie like they're just kind of teasing you with like bits and pieces of themes from the games.
Definitely.
And I was like, at first I was like, oh, come on. Like, it feels like they're kind of like, oh, people don't actually want the music from the games. We're just going to like kind of rework it and do our own thing. But then when they actually use it like full on by the end, it's great. So it's like, I still don't understand why they didn't use more of it. But
So I thought maybe some of the teases were for when they were in the real world. They were just teasing the music, and then once they actually got to the Mushroom Kingdom, they started like playing more of it.
that could be,
Because I noticed that when they went into the sewers in the real world, that's when I first noticed the like just a little hint of like the underground theme, just like being teased in there.
yeah.
But yeah, I agree. I thought they were going to do it more with it, but I thought it was pretty good.
Look, I may sweat profusely after saying what I'm about to say, but I barely remember Goombas being in this movie at all.
They weren't very much.
No.
It was pretty much just, I think, when Bowser was kind of like introducing his troops. That was like the only time I remember seeing them.
Isn't it mostly dry bones or the bad like the
Koopa Troopas?
Koopa Troopas.
Yeah.
And the flying version of that, whatever.
I think that's like Paracuba Trooper, no, Flying Koopa Troopas or something. And then they made a joke about whatever this thing's called for the spine.
Yeah, spike thing.
It was all right, but anyway, just a lot of enemies didn't make the cut, so maybe they're saving them for sequels, or I could see all of a sudden now it's like a bunch of like Goombas are the main army or villain in a future one.
Hammer Bros versus Mario Bros.
Still got all the Koopalings.
True.
The children of Bowser. I did like the callback to the propeller Bowser mobile from Super Mario World, one of the most iconic designs in Mario history. But I do not want to do a spoiler discussion.
We already spoiled everything. So
where the movie ends up, like where, is nonsensical. Like I can't believe the movie goes where it goes at the end. It feels completely unnecessary, and the consequences to this reality seem terrifying and like beyond Avengers level.
And everyone's just cool with a giant gorilla wandering the streets with a tie.
Yeah,
I'm sure you
strange.
can infer where the movie goes from what we said. So I'm sorry if I spoiled that, but it really doesn't matter. It's pretty much all nonsense. It's a nonsense children's movie that is entertaining. And
I have a question for you guys about one reference I did not get, and I actually laughed at quite a few times. It was like the depressed star in the jail. Yeah. Is that a reference to something I'm missing, or is that like they just threw it in there for comedy's sake?
Well,
just comedy.
The star is like a Luma star from Galaxy, which I think Frank mentioned. But yeah, I think the character is just a new creation for the movie. Okay. And it was kind of inspired. Yeah, I thought that was pretty good.
I mean, I thought it was pretty funny. I thought there was some good, like they kept coming back to it, so it kind of built as the movie went along. But I was racking my brain trying to think if this is a reference to something. Like I knew like the Galaxy Star thing, but I couldn't remember if this was like actually something in the game.
I don't think so. I could be wrong, but
I don't want to necessarily poo-poo on Illumination too much, because I feel like what we're saying, I think Nintendo probably limited what they could do. And I feel like that's a character where they might have been allowed to do whatever they want with it, and they did something pretty funny or unique. So
yeah.
I thought they did a great job with everything but the story. Really. I thought the like animations and like, Peach and Toad, they're all funny. They move right. They move well. Like by move well, I mean like the animations, they looked very realistic in their movements and stuff. It wasn't like a janky CG movie by any means. So I really liked it.
This movie was jank. We would have had some serious problems. Next, the Jank Brain movie. Now that movie had to be jank.
Now we're talking. Hey, I know a guy who knows a guy who can make that happen.
All right. Well, let's shut this down. I think we're done. Let's
Yeah.
give our superstar ratings out of 5 stars. I'm pretty sure I spoiled them already, but I give it 3 stars.
Yeah. 3 stars for me. Didn't hate, wasn't great.
Three stars. Consistent.
This is the definitive 3-star film.
Now, the question I wanted to ask Frank real quick, better or worse than the Sonic movie?
Better.
Really?
I'm not so sure about that.
I'd come on the other side of that.
I might have liked Sonic more.
Really?
Me
Yeah.
too.
Sonic 2, not so much.
I think I gave Sonic 1. Let's see here.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I
gave
got
it
to
1
update my
star.
letterboxd.
I hated Sonic. Sonic was so annoying. Holy
Ooh,
shit.
yeah.
I hated that film. The Super Mario Bros. Movie was a breath of fresh air compared to Sonic. But if you're looking for something in the same realm, and maybe you're our age, only one place to look: the Rescue Rangers film on Disney Plus. That's gonna scratch the itch.
I showed my kids the Rescue Rangers TV show, and they had zero interest. So
they will also have zero interest in the movie, but you will love the movie.
Yeah, check out the movie.
Okay, what we played. Big tease at the front of the show for what we played.
I don't think they're ready, Frank.
I don't think I'm ready, Sean. So since we last spoke, we recorded early with the Tears of the Kingdom breakdown video on youtube.com/GameJunk. And I was really intrigued by the gameplay in Tears of the Kingdom. So much so that I'm like, you know what? I'm going to give Breath of the Wild another try. Third time's a charm. We'll see if it takes. And oh boy, did it take. I've literally played almost every possible hour of every day I could. I've been fully immersed in the Breath of the Wild.
Wow.
And I beat it today. I finished Breath of the Wild. I did about 65 shrines, 120 Korok seeds.
Did you get the Master Sword?
Got the sword, got the shield.
Did you get the horse?
Got it all, baby. I did lots of side quests. I have been absolutely addicted. And then at the end, I bought the DLC. I did the Hero's Path mode to see where I went, and I missed huge parts of the map. I didn't even go near half of this stuff. So look, the best comparison I can make, this is how I feel about Breath of the Wild. We've all seen the film Scrooged. When Bill Murray at the end is having his moment, I get it now. I get it. That's where I am. I get it. I don't want to go too far, but there's still flaws with the game. And clearly the fact that it took me this many tries for it to click, I don't think it's just about this time it worked. I was bringing previous knowledge of how to play the game. So it was a smoother experience each time I started the game. So if I was going to change anything about that game, if they were like, hey, you're in charge, they gave me that game when it was almost done and said, here, do whatever you want. All I would really change is I would give the player way more stuff to do on the Great Plateau. Get more powerful. I feel like the game is too hard when you leave the Great Plateau and too overwhelming. And I do think climbing is not fun. As we've seen with the Ascend power going through ceilings and tying this idea together, the order you do the Divine Beasts in plays a huge role, I think, in how much you love that game. Do the Flying Divine Beast first. First of all, you get to go to, are the Rito in another Skyward or another Zelda game? The flying bird creatures? I don't remember them in anything else.
Yeah, I don't know. The name sounds familiar, but Yeah, maybe
But
Skyward Sword.
I love those designs. The Rito area is my favorite area by far. The Rito Divine Beast is my favorite Divine Beast. It's got the best music. It is absolutely epic. And you get the best power by far. Out of all the powers you get from the Divine Beast, do people know what it is? Like,
I don't remember. I remember. Is that the one where you're like inside and you got to like rotate the circles
no,
inside?
that's the
Is
camel
that the
one.
big walking thing?
The no, but the power you get is the ability to like basically lift up in the air rather than climb like immediately and ascend huge amounts, that which makes exploring the world so much faster, so much more fun. It was a complete game changer for me. So I still think the world is kind of big without a lot of direction, but I love the game now. Like I was completely enthralled this week.
So it looks like the Rito maybe were introduced in the Wind Waker, or at least are a big part of the Wind Waker.
Okay. I don't remember that, but yeah, I love those. I mean, the creature designs, the actual fauna, the just wildlife in Hyrule is the best. Can't get enough of it.
And the cooking didn't bother you?
The cooking sucks. It's still shit, but I would just every once in a while sit down and cook like fill my whole thing with food
Something.
that I could use later. But
Yeah,
the food system is really useless, and it is annoying every time you switch areas to have to like just change your clothes to heat or uh cold sensitive stuff. I wish they had ways of, I don't know, fusing armor together. Like at some point, okay, I can just wear this all the time and not worry about changing clothes or having presets for some of that stuff to swap it out easier. The user experience, it is a very dense game. There's a lot of stuff going on in that game, but it's still very clumsy at times trying to do stuff. And I played all week and I would still fuck stuff up by the end, like picking the right weapon, switching. Some weapons you can drop and throw, other ones you can't. You have to go to the menu and drop them and all this stuff. I'm like, can we just figure all this stuff out, please? And I would start to get on board with one of the greatest games ever, or the greatest game ever. But they're just
I remember the
flaws.
I remember the first time I shut that game down for a long period of time. I was in that bird area and I accidentally chucked my best sword off of one of those bridges. And I was just like, I don't want to play anymore. Like I literally just tossed my best sword down a crevasse that I'm not going to go down and get. Like what a pain in the ass, just because I hit R instead of like R, Z or whatever it is. Like this is ridiculous. So how did you get around the crafting aspect and the breaking inventory? Did you just like grab whatever you had and just kind of went with it?
That was never a huge problem for me playing the game. Like I feel like whenever you upgrading your stasis ability and being able to freeze enemies made a huge difference, to just buy yourself a little more time to decide what to do. And but I usually find whatever enemy you're facing or where you are has somewhat appropriate weapons. So the switching weapons thing is not a huge deal for me once you get Korok seeds. But right now I have tons of slots, probably 12 weapon slots, and I like barely use all of them, especially once you get the Master Sword. So
yeah, well, Frank, you and I were talking a few days ago about this, and it reminded me, I think one thing that I did that kind of got around a lot of the crafting stuff is I was using amiibos a lot. So if you need food, you need to cook some stuff for yourself, or you just randomly need weapons, like there's a bunch of amiibos that you could use that would just rain stuff on top of you, and you could just pick it all up and you wouldn't have to like go harvesting everywhere, which was kind of nice.
Harvesting at times, but getting back to mild criticisms, I don't think the bosses are that good because they have to be designed to use any weapon or possible things like the electric Ganon, or like the one that you fight in the camel, where that boss sucks. Like it's brutal. The final boss is really good. and the shrines are fantastic. I love the shrines. But I had 2 attempted playthroughs through the game to like train myself how to think for those shrines. They were not as intuitive the first time I played the game. And I found myself getting stuck a lot more when I played the game the first time. But I'm so happy that I get it now, that I love Breath of the Wild and I'm ready for Tears of the Kingdom.
Nice.
It's even like when I was playing, I'm like, oh, they're gonna make me do this, or like I was solving puzzles or anticipating more complex solutions. So I can't wait. Like if I'm coming up with potential shrines while I'm playing, this Nintendo crew is going to destroy the next game. I think I remember hearing about that. Like they were designing a completely different way than they used to, where it's, solve it any way you want. And it's kind of a sandbox puzzle solution approach sometimes, but I can't wait to see the next set of stuff.
Cool.
I'm in. I love it. I'm debating if I'm going to 100% it. 900 Korok seeds is a lot, and there's no achievement system, so I don't think it's going to.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to the other end of the role reversal, Sean. We're going back to 2017.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird. It just kind of happened this way. But Frank went back to Breath of the Wild. I went back to Horizon Zero Dawn. You loved Horizon Zero Dawn back when that first came out. I loved Breath of the Wild. Yeah, Horizon Zero Dawn. Tried to it's not that I disliked it, but I had tried it a couple times and just always kind of dropped off. Something else always grabbed my attention. And so, but I, wanted to get through this game. And the more I played it, like the last couple of weeks, I kind of got focused on it and I started to get into it a lot more. Like, I think for me, I was not using stealth very much. I was not using traps very much. I just kind of wanted to use the bow because the bow is great. But, you start to vary your tactics up a bit and things come together a little more for different enemy types. And
wire for like pulling enemies down, especially flying enemies, is awesome.
Yeah. I don't even think I had a rope caster for a long time. And then I was like, wait, I feel like I'm missing something here. So, but yeah, ultimately I have some complaints with the game. Like I was telling you, Frank, like, I don't know, there's something about getting stuck in geometry happened to me a lot. And like, there's the way they do terrain and stuff in the game. There's a lot of uneven terrain and you have like fights in those areas and, you're kind of rolling around to dodge stuff all the time. And I got a little frustrated with that. I did jump into Forbidden West right afterwards. I'll touch on that, but like it feels a lot smoother in terms of controls and some of that stuff.
I thought the exact opposite. When I went from Forbidden West back to Zero Dawn, I'm like, yes, this is the game I remember.
I mean,
West is jank, dude.
I don't know. I think it's just going back to Zero Dawn now, not having really played it before. It feels like just like a slightly older, antiquated control scheme. I don't know how to describe it. Just the way you move and stuff feels a little bit clunkier. And, I know climbing's one of your big complaints with Forbidden West. There's definitely some climbing stuff towards the end of Horizon Zero Dawn, and it's not great. Like there's stuff where you need to go and you're like pushing in that direction and it's just not happening. And I don't know why. Like you got to do it a few times or kind of go back and come back again. Didn't like that stuff, but I don't know. From what I've played now in Forbidden West, I haven't seen a ton of additional climbing stuff. It feels kind of equivalent.
Tutorial is that awkward tower you have to climb. That's like
the tutorial was not great. I admit that, and it's been a while.
The best part of your game. That should be the most polished thing in your game. Have you gotten to the part I always talk about where it's the flooded basin?
Flooded basin.
It's like this area you go into, and it's full of water, and you have to let these ladders down.
I don't know. It wasn't in either. I was already past it, or
it's like about 10 hours in.
Okay, then I'm probably not there yet.
Wait till you get to that. It's one of the worst designed things I've ever seen in level design. Unbelievably bad.
Okay. I just got the glider, essentially. Like I'm just in the Forbidden West now.
You're not there yet. Okay.
But
it's interesting. These games are even more similar than I thought they were. The actual leveling up of the armor, like the 3-star system in Zelda, it's very simple loot tiers in Horizon that I like the simplicity of the economies. They both have that going for them. And the final boss of Zelda is kind of like a weak version of a Forbidden or a Zero Dawn creature.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I
don't know if you remember it at all, but like what's the T-Rex called? I can't remember those creatures.
I don't remember. In Zero Dawn?
Yeah, like the biggest dinosaur you fight in Zero Dawn.
Don't remember.
Sharptooth?
Thunderjaw?
Thunderjaw sounds right.
Yeah.
I think Sharptooth is from Land Before Time.
No, I think there is a Sharptooth as well, but I don't remember which is which.
And I like fighting those is probably more satisfying. Most of the enemies in Horizon are more satisfying to me than any of the enemies in Zelda. Like the main enemy types, they're basically the same thing over and over again. And the puzzle solving or the agency of how to fight things is more fun to me in Zero Dawn than Breath of the Wild, but they are both amazing games. What a blessed year 2017 was. Those two and Super Mario Odyssey. Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm playing Forbidden West, going to keep with it for a bit and see how it goes, but I do like it.
I'm debating playing Zero Dawn now, just to have the direct comparison. I haven't beaten Resident Evil 4. I haven't beaten Dead Space. I haven't beaten Wo Long. I wanted to beat Fallen Order again before Survivor comes out. Oh,
and that reminds me, one thing that I'd like that they seem to have more of in Forbidden West that I was definitely missing in Zero Dawn. There just isn't as much environmental puzzles or reasons to really explore in Zero Dawn. Like I found once I got the golden fast travel thing, I was just fast traveling everywhere. There was no real reason to try and stumble across stuff, but they seem to have more of that in Forbidden West.
I kind of disagree. They have the best version of reasons to explore a map in Zero Dawn. Icons on a map. That's all I need. Tell me where to go, and I'll go there until that map is empty. I understand. I understand both perspectives, though. All right, Huck, what are you playing? What did you play?
Well, I played a bit of Resident Evil 4 Remake, and by a bit, I mean like 15 minutes maybe. But the 15 minutes I did play, I was pretty blown away by how good that kind of opening sequence looks, especially kind of the vegetation. It's a linear corridor, but just how much density there is in the environment, I was really blown away by. And, the game felt good from what I could tell. I mean, I barely scratched the surface, but I'll probably play more after this call, actually, because I really want to keep going with it before I have to take it back to the library. But it's really good. I'm really liking it, and I think I mentioned I never really played Resident Evil 4 before. I played maybe an hour total, and I've seen bits and pieces because it came out when I was in university, and my roommates were always into this game on GameCube. So, I'd see bits and pieces of it, but kind of out of context, not really know what was going on, but they loved it. And they'd have it on all the time. So I played that just super briefly, no real comments on that, but I did play a Mario related game, which did not get featured in the movie. And that was Mario Strikers Charged. I gave that a try, and basically, this is a soccer game with power-ups, and it's kind of the initial layout is kind of like Mario Kart in that you have trophies, which are tournaments, and then those tournaments are double knockout elimination tournaments, and you kind of just play through brackets of 4 teams, or at least the ones I tried were 4 teams, and try to win the tournament. And I actually thought that it was a pretty fun, pretty good mechanics, basic, overall. I mean, you can't do too much with it because it's just a small soccer game. But I thought the length of games were good. I think they were like 4 minutes and change each or something like that. And so the pace to get through a tournament was actually good. By the time you're done, you're kind of like around a half an hour mark or a little under. And I liked it, but I kind of felt it was missing that extra level that I expect of a sports game, where I expect some sort of stat progression or some sort of stat tracking or the ability to, do a little bit more with your team and maybe even keep a team in more detail than what it is. So basically you pick, 4 characters at the beginning of a tournament, and then that's your team. And that's really it. Like, you don't really get to play around with any of the stats or anything. It kind of reminded me of ice hockey for the NES, where you basically have like small, medium, and large characters, and they, the small guy's fast but can get the puck knocked away, or in this case the ball, and the big guy can hold on to the ball longer and is slower. And that's basically the game, plus power-ups and little other twists. So I thought it was kind of like a fun little sports game, but it didn't really hold my interest after doing 2 or 3 tournaments. So that's kind of all I played. A little more Hogwarts Legacy, just kind of grinding through that, but nothing really new to report on that front.
Sean, I think there's one other recent release that you put some time into.
There is?
Oh, did you talk about this last week already? 9 Years of Shadows? Yeah, you did, right?
Oh, I did, but I do have an update on this game. I had played about 3 hours of it. I was enjoying it. Maybe a little less than that. I don't know. I was like probably about 25% through according to my save file. And they did an update on April 1st, and it completely broke the game for me, which is weird because when the game came out, I was reading that there was bugs and stuff, but I didn't really encounter any. And it was only after this update to fix a bunch of bugs came out that my save file was completely broken. Like, as soon as I started a game, if I broke an item or tried to attack an enemy, it would just like soft lock on me. So then I waited for them to do another update, which they did, and it still didn't fix the issue. So then I was like, you know what? Maybe I need to like delete my cache or something like that. So I did delete Proton files or something like that on the Steam Deck, and it deleted my save file. And now I'm like back to square one.
It should be in the cloud. You should be able to get it.
The cloud saves apparently were broken for this game because I had nothing in the cloud.
Oh boy.
So yeah, I'm kind of annoyed. I'm probably not going to go back to it for a little while, but I was enjoying it. I would suggest waiting a little bit on this game. But there's lots of Metroidvania stuff coming out right now. Like, I also played a little bit of Vernal Edge, which is pretty good. There's Rusted Moss is coming out, I think, this week, which is kind of like Metroidvania with like a grappling hook mechanic, and Lone Fungus.
What? Whoa, slow down here, guy. Okay, we'll talk about this after. Did you try the demo for that Case of Benedict?
Is it back?
Box?
I didn't try it originally when it was part of Next Fest.
Oh, I thought you might have tried it there because that's soon too, right?
Yeah. Lots of Metroid-like stuff coming out.
Nice. I didn't play anything else. I don't think I stressed enough how addicted to Breath of the Wild I was. Like, I could not stop playing until it's a weird sensation though. without achievements, when I beat Ganon, I was like, oh, I'm going to do everything in this game. And I really am like, I think I'm done. I think it's going away for now. It's without achievements, I don't have that compulsion. It's sad but true. If I could get a trophy or an achievement to say I 100%ed Zelda, I would keep doing it.
Yeah, I mean, well, obviously I don't have the same compulsion for achievements in general, but for me it was like I was really addicted to that game and I kept putting off doing the final boss
Yeah, I
fight.
did too.
And then when I finally did, I was like, yep, done. So I
You
didn't
did all
really go
12
back.
memories?
No.
Ooh.
I kind of want to go back and maybe do some of that stuff before Tears of the Kingdom, but I don't know. We'll see.
All right.
I thought of one more thing I played just today that I just remembered. I put some more time into Rogue Legacy 2, which I had played a bit beforehand, and then my younger son was like down here with me, and I was like, and I was playing No Nozzle, and he's like, this is boring. And I'm like, yeah, it is. It would definitely be boring to watch. And then I was like, oh, you know what? I got a game you'd probably like. And I fired up Rogue Legacy 2 and did a run that was probably like 15 minutes. And then he wanted to give it a try, and he lasted all of, 2 minutes. So he did a couple runs after that, and he was like, this game's hard, but he really liked it. And actually, it gave me an itch and made me think that they would probably actually really like a 2D, like Link to the Past Zelda game kind of thing, Minish Cap or a Link to the Past even. Because if he likes Rogue Legacy, that's sort of like swinging at enemies type gameplay, I bet he would love Zelda. So I was going to introduce
for the Switch. Link's Awakening for the Switch library. Do it up.
Yeah, that's one Kieran really got into. So
is that on the Nintendo online service?
No, it's like they remastered it. They made like a whole version of it. Link's Awakening was
yeah, it's got like the kind of what's, I don't know, how would you describe the style of it?
Art style?
What's that?
Shitty art style?
I guess like it's.
Oh, I know that one. Yeah, yeah. I beat that one already. Actually, that one. Yeah. That one I did really like, but that was really frustrating. That like it was really hard. I know like my wife and I played it together, and you had to like use a walkthrough to figure out where to go sometimes. Like it was it is not I know there's that phone or whatever.
The leaves, when you got to find the 5 leaves outside the castle, that part is nonsensical.
I'm looking for something a little more simple. I even thought A Link to the Past might be a little too complex. That's why I
think all those 2D Zelda games have equal versions of all that stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought Minish Cap was pretty straightforward. I thought that might be a good option.
I was just playing that a bit, and I could see there being some stuff that.
Oh, really? Okay.
But maybe not. Maybe not.
Well, it might be a good introduction either way. We'll see.
I mean, it's on. If you buy the expansion pass for Switch, it's on there, so you can try it out. No cost.
Cool.
Well, cost of the expansion pass. All right. Is that it? Anything else? Anyone play anything else?
No.
The timing could not have been worse for Breath of the Wild. I'm looking at a brand new OLED ultra wide monitor. And I got into Zelda the day this monitor arrived at my house, and I've barely played any PC games on it. It's so pathetic. But
so what's going to be the next PC game you're going to tackle?
The monitor is beautiful. I finally. Why did I ever not buy something that's OLED? It changes everything. Those deep blacks. Oh, those viewing angles. It is heaven. Heaven. And for those that are wondering, it's the Alienware DF version, like the cheaper one. Got a pretty good deal. So good. Just so good. Do not regret it at all. Life is good. All right.
And you didn't answer my question. What PC game are you going to explore?
With my monitor. I'm probably just going to go back to Resident Evil 4.
Oh, on that monitor?
They needed to provide more love for ultra wide. I was playing in ultra wide. It looks awesome. I saw people on the Discord saying that. I thought it didn't even support ultra wide, but it does, baby, and it looks good. All right, I think that's it. We're wrapping it up. YouTube.com/GameJunk. Like, subscribe. Twitter, Sean, Film Junk, Andrew, My Angry Commute, Equilibrium Sis. And until next time, thanks for listening or watching. Bye.